I'm in Seattle, Washington, getting to check out the Rad Rover. This is a crowd-funded electric bike, successful through Indiegogo in April 2015. Really kind of neat to see. You know, there's been a number of fat bikes that have come onto the scene in recent years. This one offers a 7-speed cassette, which is nice for when you're climbing hills and, you know, trying to navigate different environments. Like, I definitely appreciate that. I also noticed that it has this sort of chain guide, so when you're in a bumpy terrain, you might not drop the chain as easily. It's got the nice chain slap guard, that kind of thing. And I guess while we're talking about tires, I should just zoom in here and say 26x4 Juggernaut Sport. So Kenda, kind of a name brand tire. Definitely hear it, you know, when you're riding. There's a little bit of a brr, but that's sort of typical of fat bikes. One of the other things that I really love about it is that it comes in 2 colors. So you've got black and white, and that it's got a suspension fork with lockout. So if you're someone who wants to commute, save yourself some of that bobbing feeling and just have it be efficient, well, as efficient as you can with these knobby tires, you totally can. One of the kind of the areas of opportunity that I noticed is that I didn't see bosses up here on the seat stays, but they did have like a threaded eyelet down here at the bottom. So, you know, depending on your setup, there are some rear racks that can kind of connect to the tubing and stuff. What you're seeing here is actually the optional fender kit. The bike itself is $14.99, so, you know, pretty well priced for having suspension, for having 7 speeds, and then actually a pretty impressive motor. This is a hang tie. It's got like steel gears inside, so metal versus plastic a lot of the times, like 8-fun and stuff. A little bit more durable. It's about 7 pounds, so that's fairly standard too for internally geared motors that I see. It's a 500 watt nominal. That's definitely powerful, and I think the peak is like 750, so you get the power that you need for climbing and moving those bigger tires and those bigger wheels and stuff. So I definitely appreciate that. One frame size here, it's like 19, pretty standard, but the nice sort of sloped top tube definitely helps. And then this down tube mounted battery, so Dolphin pack. It's got Samsung cells inside, 48 volt system, 11.6 amp hours. So that 48 volts kind of supports the 500 watt motor. But I like that it's geared. You know, it kind of blends into the frame a little bit more, and you get a little bit of low end torque with a geared motor like that. So, you know, again, between sort of the chain orientation, the cassette back here, and a 12 magnet pedelec disc, it ends up being pretty responsive. And of course, I really like these Wellgo pedals platforms. They've got kind of the metal nubs, and they feel great. You know, there's more surface area than some of the other electric bikes where it's just a tiny thing, and I constantly feel like, oh, I got to replace that right away. I also noticed the zoom stem. It's a little bit overbuilt, and it's not one of those adjustable angle. You know, of course, you're going to have to reach a little further. This is set up a little bit more aggressive, like leaning forward, but at least this isn't going to get loose. So there's a few, I think key upgrades or choice upgrades on this bike that speak to me, definitely. Velo plush saddle, 27.2 millimeter diameter on the stem. So if you're someone who wants to take it even further with suspension, you can get like a little, seat post suspension element. 180 millimeter mechanical disc brake on the front, 160 millimeter on the rear. Neither one has quick release. So, means a little bit of extra energy if you want to reduce sort of the length of the bike, and potentially some of the weight. Thankfully, the battery is locking and removable, real easy to take off. It's kind of got that down tube mounted bracket. This is kind of the Dolphin case. There's the key. Call this the Dolphin case. I also noticed that the controller sort of separated from it a little bit, but I think the positioning is pretty good, and it really blends in. I like I often kind of highlight these black electric bikes because all the wires sort of blend in. If we go over to the white one, this is going to stand out a little bit more if you're riding in traffic and stuff, but the wires, the batteries, everything stands out a little bit more, the slap guard. So keep that in mind. I was also, I was looking at the kickstand before. I don't think it's adjustable length. It definitely lets the bike lean a little bit, which is kind of be careful, but at least it has a kickstand. You can park that in the garage. A couple little extras, a bell, an integrated light right here on the front for safety. The majority of bike accidents happen head-on, so I think the front light is kind of key. You can always get a light for like the back of your helmet or something like that, or a backpack, because there's no water bottle cage, so you might need to bring along, like, you know, again, a bag or maybe a camelback, depending on how you're riding this. You know, even though electric fat bikes are, it's trail capable and stuff, they do tend to be a little bit heavier, and you know, I tend to see people riding them around like commuters a lot. So I love the fenders. I've never seen plastic ones before. They're made by like a Big O manufacturing company, and just kind of cool brackets. You know, they could bounce around a little bit, but they don't make a lot of noise. They don't add a lot of weight. So that is pretty cool. Got kind of just the adapters right here, and they connect to the suspension fork. So pretty good setup. And then other comfort elements, these padded grips. Of course, this is pedal assist as well as twist throttle style electric bike. It all works pretty well together. It feels like you kind of have all of the options, maybe sans a rear rack, which, you know, you can kind of figure out yourself after. And they are shipping these. So I think as of today, you know, we're kind of like mid-late August 2015, and I think 70 people have got them. The crowdfunding campaign, it was like 400 sales. They raised like $300,000. So pretty successful that way. And I think they're arriving now within 30 days. So it's like, boom, new company on the scene. And I know they're working on some other stuff, but this was their big claim to fame. And the way that the crowdfunding was done, I felt like it was really honest and stuff, and just like, hey, let's offer something great. And that's definitely what I feel like this is. It's been fun to look at. So let's go ahead and start it up. We talked about the 500 watt nominal motor in the back, talked about the 48 volt 11.6 amp hour battery. It's got the USB charger on the side. I like that because you know, you could plug in your portable electronics or something. I don't know if I really do that very often. If you know, want to do that yourself, like if you look at where my leg is and like kind of where it goes when you're pedaling, you don't actually want to bump that USB, so be careful if you're plugging into that. Battery can be charged on or off the bike. It's like a 1.5 pound charger, pretty portable. It's got a fuse. Yeah, but you have to turn it on separately. So here's the button. It's like on, battery's on. That's step one. Now we got to turn on the bike, step two. So, you know, a little bit of extra effort. I see this a lot. That's all of the Dolphin batteries do that. You know, and I think the drawback is once you're finished riding, just remember to turn off the pack so that it's not slowly using battery capacity over time. Like, you know, again, here in Seattle, with a lot of people with boats and stuff, if you had one of these in your boathouse and you charged it to like half power to let it sit through the season in kind of like a neutral state, but you left it on accidentally, it would slowly trickle down, and then it could be hard on the battery. So, you know, turn your battery off when you're done. So anyway, here's the display. 5 little bars for your battery right there. We've got an odometer readout, miles per hour, pedal assist level, watts, and pedal assist is sort of always enabled. We're down at 1. I can't go any lower, but I can, of course, arrow up to 5. So 5 is the highest. You're going to get the most power out of this thing. 1 is the lowest. It's going to go a little slower, a little softer, and then you can kind of override with the throttle. But they've also got a throttle switch, so you can disengage the throttle. But it definitely works well. Let's give this a go. Yeah, feeling good power out of that hang time motor. It's kind of the first time I've seen one of those. I'm gonna do the pedal assist here, test those cadence sensors out in the highest level. Wow. Nice, definitely one of the more powerful and a little bit louder fat bikes that I've tried. But I get that impression that, you know, that motor's gonna be a little bit beefier and maybe more durable. Here's level 1. Okay, so a little bit quieter. You can kind of hear that. There's a little bit of, you know, it was occasionally coming in after I'd stopped pedaling. I'm gonna do throttle again. Yep. I get full power, up to 20 miles per hour. You got the nice disc brakes. You do have to squeeze a little bit harder because they're mechanical, but I find that those are a little bit easier to tune up yourself, you know, over time. maybe tighten down if the rotors, like the brake pads, might get worn down a little bit. You can kind of go in and adjust those yourself. So pretty good stuff. And I like to call out that the shifter mechanism on this is a little bit easier to kind of maneuver if you had gloves on, if you were riding this in cold weather, because it's so large up there. But the parts on this are a little bit more entry level. That's like the index shifter, and then in the back we've got the Tourney TX derailleur. So kind of keep it lubed, keep it in tune if you want to really maximize the performance of this. Just testing that torque sensor. Sweet. I think that's about it. These are two of the first Rad Rovers. Awesome to get to test ride them and get some hands-on feedback from the guys that are making them. Seem like great people. Actually, Mike was kind of telling me about being in high school and building his own electric bikes and kind of trying to optimize it. And I feel like they've kind of nailed it with this fat bike. It's fun and just authentic, like good energy for sure. So that is the Rad Rover from Rad Power Bikes. For the full write-up on this, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. And as always, ride safe.